Thank you and welcome to this podcast series number 6. We do have Brian Kuhn from SmartSkin Technologies on the line. SmartSkin is a company, a Canadian company, which is a partner of SCHOTT, and a very interesting, and you might have followed Brian's presentation last week already on optimizing the fill and finish process. I'm very happy to have him on board. He is in Canada right now, and I'm happy to talk to you today. Brian, you are the true expert of smartness, smart skin, and smart drone sensor-based technology in the industry. I'm glad that you will answer some of my questions that I have today. I'm happy to have you here. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Bjorn. It is indeed a pleasure to be here. And again, I thank you for the time this morning.
Thank you. My first question is it's about the name. I'm like, your company is called SmartSkin. Where does this name come from? And can you give us a little bit more insight on the SmartSkin of your products?
Well, SmartSkin remains based in Fredericton, New Brunswick, but the interesting fact about SmartSkin is that it started as an academic research project at the University of New Brunswick, and our founder, Kumran Tiladandandaraja, was trying to develop artificial pressure sensing for prosthetic limbs and hands. And thus, the name SmartSkin evolved out of the project, and it's now recognized globally, of course, by the hand. And the hand icon and the name SmartSkin were retained because our first major pharma customer, Hoffmann La Roche, and the others that followed, they perceive pressure and shock sensors that are embedded under a protective skin on vial, cartridge, and syringe formats as smart skin. So in effect, smart skin. And they also perceive that the hand in smart skin name itself, the icon, as innovative and cool. And so this coolness really transcended with our CEO and the board, and that's the story behind SmartSkin and the famous hand.
I really like that name. And Brian, when we first met in 2018, I think was it, and you really impressed me with an interesting business case from Coca-Cola with your technology. What exactly have you achieved at Coca-Cola, and how can you transfer maybe these learnings to the pharmaceutical industry?
Absolutely. So you are right. Coca-Cola is one of our original customers among several large global brands in beer and beverage. But essentially, they and Coca-Cola use our technology on their high-speed canning lines and bottling lines to monitor and correct damage events that lead to leakers or broken glass. And we designed and built a special drone for Coke when we began our journey that could travel into the filler and seaming machines, behaving like a bottle or a can to diagnose pressure and shock events that cannot be seen, at 1,500 containers per minute. And we now support Coca-Cola and other leading companies worldwide in beverage and beer for can and bottling line optimizations. So the QuantiFeel platform, in effect, provided the basis for our current application in the pharma glass industry.
So if I understand you correctly, so you're using the QuantiFeel platform and software that is built on let's say, the beer and beverage industry. You will also transform that to the pharmaceutical industry?
We did exactly that. The exact technology that we use with Coca-Cola is used in parenteral filling and packaging lines throughout pharma globally today.
Wow. Okay. And I forgot to mention when we started this podcast, you work you're head of business development, and since you are on board with SmartSkin, you have clearly developed the pharma business. So where do you stand today within the pharmaceutical industry and your technology?
Well, it's been an exciting journey. And I have to say, when we began in 2016, we had Hoffmann La Roche as our first beta customer. And in 2017, we secured Janssen, Genentech, Novo Nordisk, and Amgen as customers. Interestingly, by 2018, we had expanded to 8 global parenteral brands and a partnership with SCHOTT, as you know. And so today in 2020, this month, we have reached a total of 15 global parenteral brands in Europe, the United States, and in Asia Pacific. So that's essentially the timeline of our growth.
Wow, those are a lot of interesting names on that are already using your system. But to the listeners on the podcast who are not quite familiar with the SmartSkin or with SmartSkin and its technology and service, what exactly do you offer to the pharmaceutical companies today?
In essence, we sell sensor hardware and we license the data collection and analysis with software. So we sell sensors, hardware, and we license software. We also have a subscription option, which gives our customers total access to all of our hardware formats and software options for a yearly fee. We don't typically do paid consulting, but we do work closely with our customers upfront and at our own costs to assist them in identifying opportunities and to validate each use case with our customers. Our library of drones today, in effect our inventory, is always expanding with new sizes and functionality. And we now have a very solid platform for vial, syringe, cartridge, and other formats.
Okay, but we know every production line is sort of different. The challenges are somehow the same though. How does a general fill and finish optimization with SmartSkin look like?
In general, parenteral filling and packaging sites will begin using the system and collecting force data related to pressure, shock, rotation, and tilt. These are the 4 analytics that our system is constantly gathering throughout the lines. And this is done to better understand the signature of the lines. And so typically, our customers will focus on traditional hotspots or trouble spots, and we'll make changes to optimize those areas of the line first. It's very logical. Operators know where they have typical problems that occur historically, and then they will start collecting data coming out of maintenance to better understand force activity on the lines. And once a breakage event occurs at some point over a 9-month period, and they do, they'll perform a root cause investigation, which is completed very quickly. And then line operators typically start using the system during changeover events. And so you can see that it's sort of a logical transition across the applications of our system on the filling and packaging lines.
That sounds very interesting, and I know I was invited at your conference in Amsterdam last year, and some of your leading customers presented interesting, let's say, examples. Can you shed a little bit more light on those inspiring business cases in the pharmaceutical industry with your technology? I'm sure there is a lot you can already tell that proves how well your soft and hardware works.
Our business case or value proposition and our pricing model for that matter have all been brought forward logically, where we started with Hoffman LaRoche all the way through, I would say, the initial 8 global pharmas that we worked with. And so it's a very logical model. Typically, we see the same pattern over and over. The customers generally will reduce imperfections on glass by anywhere from 60 to 80%. And so in doing so, they're reducing rejects significantly across vial lines, but also across cartridge now and syringe. And depending on the drug formulation in vials alone, in vial formats, the savings are generally 1.5 to 2.5 million per year. This doesn't account for savings from compressed changeover times, startups, and from avoiding the costs of unplanned shutdowns that are due to breakage or interruptions to machinery. So in effect, the value proposition becomes much higher, but in general, 1.5 to 2.5 million per year for vial formats. But the savings we're finding for syringe and cartridge lines can be anywhere from 2 to 3 times more than vials, depending on their pain points and breakage levels.
Okay, so I understood your sensor-based drones and technology works for vials, cartridges, and syringes. Is there any other, let's say, container or drug delivery object that could be maybe in the future be used as a measuring device?
That's a really good question and timely. As a matter of fact, we've already moved into pens, so delivery devices, smart pens. We've begun to produce for 2 pharma customers. We are also moving into ampules. And so moving across formats is a design requirement. It's not a barrier, but a design requirement. And we needed ampule customers to come forward. And I'm happy to say that we have our first that we're working with right now.
Cool. Wow. Okay. So it goes on, and probably the formats are as much as probably formats are out there in the industry. I'm like, that's nice to hear.
Thank you.
I can imagine that investigating pressure points at the operational lines is difficult, especially in times on the corona crisis worldwide. I'm like, how are you working on more smart features to overcome these challenges? Because if I understand your system correctly, you need to be at the operator, at the line, at least you used to be. I'm curious what an innovative startup like your company has in the pipeline for that.
Our experience over the past 4 years in pharma has been to be very responsive when pharma has led us. And so in terms of the coronavirus, we've already rolled out remote training plans and resources so that we can send our systems in a box, so the hardware and the software and tablet, anywhere in the world. And so we ship them out so that our customers can gather that data where necessary. New customers that are looking at systems, or customers that are taking new systems, so that they can ensure that they have effective training and utilize the system immediately. Fortunately, the system is really easy to use. So remote training is very straightforward and effective. And this also allows us to demo the technology without having to send our staff out to site, obviously. We have also just released a very new cloud platform, software platform called Remote Diagnostics. And this has had immediate interest and take up in pharma as well as our beer and beverage customers, because this enables data to be synced and viewed remotely. So if operators have a problem or they're collecting data, the engineering staff that support them typically, which may be off-site during Corona and typically is, they're able to view that data remotely and advise the operators on issues with the lines. And we see this as becoming today essential for our customers that have these experts, but are unable to be on site so that they can review the data from many individual plants.
Wow. This is very impressive, because once again, you're responding to a challenge that the pharmaceutical industry has. At the beginning of your business, it was optimizing the fill and finish process. Now we do have the crisis with the coronavirus, and you have the right response with offering a remote diagnostics, remote training approach to the industry. So this is what I expect, and this is how I like on those innovative and smaller startup companies like SmartSkin. That is very impressive. Thank you, Brian.
Bjorn, thank you. We have a saying at SmartSkin that, what gets measured can be managed. And so now remotely that measurement can continue, and the analysis can continue forward. And so we're really excited about this service. It's included with our package or with our technology to date, and that we can continue to support the industry regardless, remotely, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, Brian, that this service and this technology shows a very clear I have to say, a very clear value to the industry. And those numbers are impressive that you mentioned, especially with the savings per year, but also all the root cause analysis that and all the things that you find out that might not be measured in pure numbers is very impressive. And I'm very happy and I'm very delighted to have you here as my special guest at the podcast today. And I'm also looking forward. I'm already looking forward to the next episode with you, because as innovative you are and your company is, I'm pretty sure there will be a few more things that we will hear from you in the next future, and in the near future. Thank you for being here on the podcast. Thank you for sharing your insights, and also thank you for sharing a little bit more background on SmartSkin and where you have come from and where you're heading in the next years. Thank you.
Thank you very much.